Okay, hi everyone. I'm Yiting from Just Login. So welcome to our part 10 of our Business Continuity webinar series. So today we will be focusing on the topic of some Singapore government assistance schemes that are available for employers. Before we kickstart the webinar, I would just need to go through some housekeeping notes. So firstly, we will be recording this webinar session and we will be sharing all the slides to everyone after this event. Secondly, we will be having a Q&A session. So this whole webinar is expected to be around 1.5 hours long, and we will dedicate around the last 20 minutes for Q&A. If you have any questions, please just drop it in the Q&A box. You can find it in the Q&A in the menu in the bottom of your screen. So we are expecting quite a huge crowd today. We have over 1,000 signups for today's webinar. So if we have opened the upvote function. If you have any questions that you've seen someone already ask, it'd be great if you can just upvote it so we can just prioritize the questions based on popularity. The third and last housekeeping note I have is that we will be sending out a feedback form. So when you exit the webinar, you'll actually be redirected to a feedback link. We really appreciate if you can help to complete the feedback form so that we can improve our future webinar sessions. And in the form, you also have a chance to indicate your interest to be contacted by any of our speakers here to get more personal and direct assistance on any grant schemes that you might be more interested in. So before we start, we're going to start now, but I just want to run a quick poll to see which government assistance schemes are you guys most excited about and like what pushed you to join this webinar today. So Ivan, if you can have the poll up. Okay, thank you. So feel free to just choose the options that you are most interested in. So while you are doing that, I will just give a quick introduction of today's agenda as well as to introduce my fellow speakers. So we will be kickstarting this session with a presentation by myself. So I'll be going through what are some of the government assistance schemes that you can leverage on to digitize your manpower operations. And this will be followed by Cecilia from Match Resources. So Cecilia will actually be covering more about the HR Shared Services Grant in particular. So, I mean, if the speakers, you want to turn on your videos and say hi to everyone, that'd be nice. So after Cecilia, we will have Manisa from Workforce Singapore, also representing SME Center at SMCCI. She will be going through some grants that's available to employers who are working from home, want to access more talents and also training programs. And last but not least, we have Eileen from SNEF. So we're supposed to have Sean, who's the director of the Place and Train program today, but unfortunately he had an urgent meeting. But no worries, we have Eileen who will be able to share with us more about what the PMAX Place and Train program is about. And in the Q&A session, we also have with us Sneha, who is a business advisor from SME Center, as well as she's representing Enterprise Singapore, and she can help to answer questions about Enterprise Singapore. So without further ado, maybe we can see our poll results to see which schemes are most popular right now. Okay, I think there's a big mix of schemes. Most people, I think the highest rated one is a work-life grant. I think it's expected a lot of people are working from home right now, and quite a fair bit of interest on the grants for digitization. Okay, very interesting. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, before I start, I just want to give a brief introduction to Just Login for everyone who's new to us. Just Login, we are a HR management system. So we help businesses automate their manpower operations, to things like payroll, leave, attendance, expense management. And we also focus a lot on the employee experience. So we have built mobile apps for employees who they can view their pay slips or apply for leave on their mobile app on the go. We are 20 years in the business in cloud-based HR software. We're a Singapore company and we are ISO 27001 certified. We have currently over 2,000 customers that's using us in Singapore as well as in the broader region. And JustLogin is also a pre-approved HR management system under the SMEs Go Digital program. So personally, I liaise with IMDA quite a bit about the productivity solutions grants and other grants regarding digitization. I hope I can share a bit of those insights with you today. Okay, so as a HR tech company, in the past few months, as we were experiencing the whole COVID-19 situation, as well as the circuit breaker, we do see a spike in interest in uptake of HR tech solutions. And in our last webinar, we actually conducted a poll, and we found that 80% of businesses actually accelerated their HR tech adoption due to COVID-19. And I can see a few reasons why this is the case. So firstly, it's undisputable that HR is an essential business operation. So even though your employees may be working from home or you had to stop work during the circuit breaker, you still have to pay your employees, you still have to comply to government regulations like submitting CPF monthly and providing itemized payslips to all your employees. So it is quite important to have a cloud-based HR tech stack to ensure business continuity. And the second reason why we see this trend is there's a lot of feedback that employers, when the employees are working from home, they lack the visibility to the employees' work. So they might be thinking, how can I track that my employees doing work and their performance? And because of that, we also see a lot of businesses starting to explore HR tech solutions. And last but not least, bring back to today's topic, we do see a very big government push to digitize businesses. So there has been a lot of support out there, enhanced support just to have some financial subsidies for businesses, for SMEs to adopt technology. And that will bring me to my topic for today. So I'll be going through 4 main programs that you can leverage on to digitize your company's operations. Firstly, we would cover the Productivity Solutions Grants, PSG. Then next, we will cover the Enterprise Development Grant, EDG, and the Skills Future Enterprise Credit. That is also a pretty new scheme. It was announced in the budget 2020. And last but not least, we have the Digital Resilience Bonus. So this is very new. As a vendor, we only just got briefed by IMDA about this program around 2 weeks ago, and it's announced during the latest 40-week budget. So I'll be sharing about that later on as well. So let me get into our first scheme, Productivity Solutions Grant. So this PSG grant, it is actually nothing new to everyone. It has been here for a while, but in the recent budgets, there's been some enhancements to the scheme. So it used to be funding of up to 70% of the cost. Now we're funding up to 80% of the cost for pre-approved IT solutions and equipment that help to enhance business processes. So there are actually 2 kinds of solutions under PSG. One is called the sector-specific solution, and one is a more generic solution like HR software. So if you are interested in looking for any solutions, you can just go into the Tech Depot website. I will link it later and explore. So each company is, you can have annual grant cap of $30,000. So that follows the financial year that starts in 1st April and ends in 31st March. So if from 1st April to now, you have not, sorry, I'm looking at the chat and there are some feedback that the screen cannot be seen. Can I confirm that everyone can see my slides? Okay, thank you. So I'll be sharing more. So, okay, I can see everyone can see, that's great. Okay, so let me continue with my presentation. So if you have not used have not applied for any PSG grant from 1st April to now, you actually have $30,000 that you can still use from now to next year, 31st of March. And if you're looking into more manpower related solutions, HR category, there's 3 main categories that you can look at. So HR management system, JustLogin is actually a pre-approved vendor under this category. HR shared services solutions, so Match Resources will be covering more on this part later. And we also have the HR e-scheduling solutions. So who is eligible for PSG grant? Firstly, you must be registered and operating in Singapore. And the solutions and equipments that you apply for must also be used in Singapore. You must be a SME with a minimum 30% local shareholding. So please check that you're eligible for this. So once you are okay, good to go, you can go into the Tech Depot website, look for the list of supportable solutions. You can choose based on the sectors you're in, and then you can see what are the types of solutions that you could potentially apply for. Then you have to get a quotation from your chosen vendor before you go into the Business Grants portal website to apply for the grant. So it is actually very fast now with this new process. We do have some customers that manage to get their approval within like 3 days. So it is very convenient. You can go and try it out. Okay, moving on to the next program, the Enterprise Development Grant. So for this grant, it's for PSG is more for SMEs, but Enterprise Development Grant that is actually for all companies of all sizes. And you can actually fund up to 90% of qualifying project costs, including third-party consultancy fees, software equipment, even potentially internal manpower costs. So how does the 90% work? It's not for everyone, it's 90%. Generally, if you are not an SME, you could claim up to 60%. If you are an SME, it'll be up to 80%. And for companies in selected sectors that are exceptionally hard hit by the COVID-19 situation, you could potentially get up to 90% of funding, but this is very on a case-by-case basis. So there are 3 project types for the Enterprise Development Grant. Firstly, we have the core capabilities to help businesses prepare for growth and transformation by strengthening their business foundations. Secondly, we have innovation and productivity. So if you are exploring new areas of growth or you're looking for new ways to enhance your efficiency, you can look into projects under innovation and productivity. And lastly, we have market access. So for those who are ready to expand in different markets, that's something you can explore as well. So coming back into the whole HR topic, you can look into core capabilities. There is a subcategory called Human Capital Development Project. And to the right, you can see various topics you can cover: comp and ben, employee engagement, job redesign, HR management. These are the various projects that you could embark on. The scope covered would be diagnosis and gap analysis of your company, for consultants to give you recommendations and to help you build and develop a strategic roadmap ahead. What would not be covered would be standalone training courses and some incentives, benefits, and welfare subsidies that's for your employees. So to apply, to be eligible for EDG, you have to be registered and operating in Singapore. Similarly, you need to have a 30% minimum local shareholding. And you also have to show that you have to be in a financially viable position to start and complete the project. So because EDG tends to have a very bigger grant amount, so they're more particular. And for the application process, it's also not as straightforward. You need to scope your project, identify suitable vendors. So for some cases, you might need to get EDG certified consultants. You also need to prepare the project proposal. There is some templates that is on Enterprise Singapore's websites, and you can go into the link. So when I will send the slides after this event, and the links are all there. So you can click on the link to view some of the templates that you can use. And finally, it's same process, apply on the Business Grants portal. But I would strongly recommend that if you're looking into an EDG project, because it's a very unique for each company, it's on a case-by-case basis, please reach out to your SME center, then they can assist you with this whole process. Okay, now to the third scheme of the day, the SkillsFuture Enterprise Credit. So this is actually a one-off $10,000 credit announced in the budget 2020 to cover up to 90% of out-of-pocket expenses on top of qualifying costs for supportable initiatives. Yeah, it's over and above the support levels of existing schemes. So what that means in a simplified manner would be if you have used EDG and PSG, like I've mentioned earlier, you can still get the SFEC credit on top of whatever you can claim from the PSG and the EDG grant. So there are two types of programs that is supported by SFEC. The first one is enterprise transformation. So that's where the EDG, PSG, and the other grants listed there is about. And the second part is more training related, workforce transformation. So if you want to use for enterprise transformation, you can only use up to $7,000 of your credit. This means that you need to reserve at least $3,000 for some sort of workplace transformation programs. Let me illustrate it better, easier for you. For example, if you want to get a PSG solution, I'm sure you've been seeing quite a lot of people advertising in the market. You can claim up to 98% off for pre-approved PSG solution. So how does the 98% come about? For example, if you have the cost of the program, the solution is actually $20,000, and you can claim up to 80%, so that's $16,000. Your out-of-pocket expense will be $4,000, and out of the $4,000, you can get an SFEC disbursement of up to 90%, that is $3,600, and net out-of-pocket expense from you is $400, which is 2%. So that is a very simple illustration of how the SFEC could work for you together with the PSG grant. Okay, so how can you be eligible for this SFEC? So you need to, in the qualifying periods listed here, contribute at least $750 in your skills development levy over the periods. You have employed at least 3 Singapore citizens or PRs every month over that period, and you must not have been qualified any of the earlier periods, so it means you can only use it once. How do you apply? So you don't have to apply for SFEC. If you meet these requirements, you will actually receive a notice in writing to tell you that you are eligible for this criteria. And you don't have to apply in a sense. This SFEC is always tagged into a base program like PSG, for example. So if you're eligible for PSG, you can, it will automatically be credited when you claim for your PSG solutions. Okay, so I know there's a lot of questions coming in through the chat. Appreciate if you could use the Q&A box so that it's easier for us to manage. And at the Q&A session, I will also have Sneha with me. So she's representing Enterprise Singapore. So all these grants that I've mentioned, she will be able to answer some of your questions. Yeah, but that will be at the end. Okay, so I'll go to my final scheme that I want to cover, the Digital Resilience Bonus. So like I said, this is a very new program. Right now, it is targeted at the food services and the retail sectors because the government wants to kind of help them. They have been very severely affected by the whole circuit breaker and the phased reopening. So for now, it's for these 2 sectors. They did mention that it could potentially be expanded to other sectors in the future, but that will be, we have to wait for further announcements down the road. So for people who are eligible for DRB, you could potentially receive payouts of up to $10,000. And I will explain in the next slide how you can get a bonus of up to $10,000. So it depends on like what kind of digital solutions you have adopted. To be eligible for DRB, so at the very basic, you need your UEN. So it's all about your UEN. It has to fall under the food services and the retail sectors, and it must be incorporated before 26 May 2020. So if tomorrow you want to incorporate the F&B, you will not be able to get this DRB bonus. Your UEN must have a PayNow corporate account. That's how they're going to disperse the bonus payout. And you must also be in the PayPal e-invoicing network. Okay, so the 3 categories that is under the DRB, firstly, you need to, so there are 3 categories. So you can get $2,500 when you meet category 1, $2,500 when you meet category 2, and $5,000 when you meet category 3. altogether add up $10,000. You don't have to stack it up. Let's say you only meet category 2, you can get $2,500. And how can you do that? So for category 1, you need to have 3 solutions. You need to show that you have accounting solution, a HR payroll solution, and a digital ordering or inventory management solution, depending on your sector. Category 2, you need to show that you have online food delivery or e-procurement, or for retail, you have shown that e-commerce, you have an e-commerce platform. And category 3, you need to have a data mining and analytics solution. So for these solutions, you need to show that you at least had 1 transaction in the past month, and it's only for selected solutions in pre-approved solutions under the schemes of PSG, Start Digital, Grow Digital, and also the e-commerce booster. So for example, for the HR payroll, how do you know if your vendor is eligible? Go into the PSG list of solution. If they are there, then they are eligible solution. And one thing that I want to just emphasize on is that this is not a grant, it is a bonus. So it's not claiming against certain amount of money you spend on a solution. You could get the bonus on top of any of the grant schemes I've mentioned earlier. You could also get the bonus even if you never used any grant schemes. Let's say you have been using JustLogin since 5 years ago. You could potentially get this bonus as well. You just need to show that you are currently using. And how do you apply? The onus is not on yourself, but on the vendor. So you can approach your vendor and let them know that you are interested in the DRB. They will get some information from you, like your UEN, and they will help you to submit it into to IMDA. So the first cycle for this DRB disbursement is the first submission will be by mid-July, and then you can get the bonus payout by August 2020. And it will be a monthly cycle, so they will collect the information every month. It will be for the next 12 months, so no rush to get this bonus. If you are a JustLogin customer and you are interested to get this now, we actually have sent out a survey form this morning for you to fill up. But if you did not receive it, feel free to write in to our customer support to just indicate your interest to take part in this program. Okay, and yeah, I think I've reached the end of the 4 schemes. I know there's a lot of questions coming in. We will take the questions in the Q&A section. But for now, take note of this important contact information. So you can actually reach out to SME Center SMCCI. They will be able to assist each of you individually to see what kind of grant needs you have and also assist you with the applications. Okay, so actually that's all I have for my part. Thank you so much. I will be introducing my next speaker, which would be Cecilia from Match Resources. So Cecilia, please, you can share your screen.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cecil, and I'm the Business Development Executive at Match Resources. Just to give you a brief background, Match Resources is an HR consultancy firm. We provide a wide range of HR solutions, including payroll management. And we're very proud to say that we are the pre-approved HR vendor of the Productivity Solutions Grant for consecutively 5 years now. For today's webinar, I'll be discussing why companies outsource their HR, specifically in the area of payroll. So I want to start by asking you a poll question. We'll give you 30 seconds to answer the question. Okay, so again, thank you for joining us for today's webinar, and I hope everyone had your lunch already. And by the way, for later's Q&A session, my managing consultant, Valerie, will join in to answer all your questions regarding outsourcing and probably for filing for the grant also. Okay, so are we good with the answers? Can we have the results now? Okay. Okay, it's good to see that a lot of you are already using a software to help you manage and process your payroll. So let's start the discussion by addressing the issue of where payroll should sit within an organization. Based on a Lincoln survey conducted by Advanced Business Solutions, they asked payroll and HR professionals on where they think payroll should sit within an organization. 25% of them says that it should be part of the HR department simply because all the personal information, including the financial records, are kept by HR. 24% says that it's a matter of cost. It's a matter of cost, and that the largest expense of any organization is payroll. And also generating reconciliations such as post-payroll reports are done by finance team. So it only made sense that they should be part of the finance department. 36% says that payroll does not comfortably sits in either two departments. It's hard to differentiate HR doing payroll, and it's hard to differentiate finance from doing payroll also. Because of that, 15% says that let's just outsource it to the third party because we can determine which department should they belong. The purpose of this survey is to get a view on where payroll should sit within an organization. There's actually no right or wrong answer on whether you want to set your organization or your payroll within the organization. It depends on your business goals, your business model, and on your business structure. As you can see on this slide, as you can see on this slide, and based on the recruitment exercises that we've been encountering, most of the clients who are looking for HR executives are common task that they are looking for is that they should be managing payroll. And it's also an accounts officer task. And based on these two job openings that we found online, these two jobs are part of different departments, and yet both of them are required to manage payroll. Upon talking to employers and business owners and to payroll professionals, we gathered the top 5 common challenges they face when they manage their payroll. First is that they process it manually. A lot of companies are still processing it manually, and they're inputting or keying in their computations manually, and this leads them to making prone to errors or duplications, which can cause to a bigger payroll problem. And also, since they're using an Excel worksheet in keying in their figures, it's hard to automatically calculate it. And at the same time, it leads to easier to be leaked or to be lost because it's not protected by password, or there's no form of security at all. Second is it for non-compliance. There are non-finance executives who are, they are not that familiar with tax compliance of benefits in kind. And payroll tax problems remain to be a challenge to organizations. And especially if they don't hire the right people to do the job for it. And negligence for tax filing may cost for great penalties and lead to legal actions. Payroll fraud. This usually is committed in several forms, such as falsified wages and commissions. And this usually happens when there's lack of internal audit in place. Also, in addition, because an HR executive can't have a view or don't have an access to view the critical numbers or reports. The next one is keeping up to date. When sometimes an HR executive tends to forget updating employees' records, for instance, a marital status. If this is not updated accordingly, it will impact the year-end submission, the year-end IRS submission. Time consuming. We heard from payroll executives, payroll professionals, that it takes them 2 days to complete processing the payroll. This is because they need to gather all the information, all the payroll instructions from all departments before they can be able to complete the process. Next, we will be discussing why companies lead in outsourcing their payroll. Number one, because they will save a lot of money. Time saved is money saved. Imagine the time that you will save when you outsource your payroll to a third-party vendor. You'll save time from calculating payrolls, every payouts, from printing and distributing pay slips, and from from signing checks. Imagine the time that you will save from all these things if you outsource it and just focus or dedicate this time for growing your revenue and serving your valued clients. Enhance security. If you outsource your payroll to a third-party vendor, they will provide you a safe haven for confidential payroll data. It will also help you save money because you don't need to maintain or purchase an in-house storage because they can provide a better or a cloud storage space. For instance, at AWS, they can provide that to you, which enable and secure your data and will make sure that your data is protected. Compliance with government regulations. Earlier, we discussed that how an HR executive may not be familiar with the complicated world of tax regulations. And if you outsource it to a third-party payroll vendor, you don't need to worry about these things because they're equipped and they are aware of the changes and the updates on tax rates. Increase employee development. Every organization's goal is to grow. And in order for you to do that, you need to build a continuous stream of would-be leaders. Removing the administrative task on your plate would allow your employees to learn new skills, and at the same time, it will give you more time to develop and encourage your employees to become good leaders. On this slide, we'll show you a case study on how outsourcing works for Wafuken. Wafuken established in 2015 with 10 employees, and they are serving healthy Japanese food with sous vide method. If you're curious what sous vide means, you can visit their website to find out more. When they started, they are processing their payroll and leave manually. When we met with Jake, he's the co-founder of Wafuken back in 2015, we conducted a needs analysis consultation with him and we analyzed what are the common issues he encountered on their day-to-day HR processes. They usually have errors on leave records because they're processing it manually and pay slips are not itemized. On top of that, they're not familiar with MOM regulations, specifically with overtime, and this caused them miscalculations on overtime pays. Because of this problem, Wafuken decided to apply and receive an HRSS package with 70% funding for HR digital solutions and payroll services. Since 2015 up till now, they're still outsourced their payroll and other HR services. So what's the effect of outsourcing with Wafuken? Since they outsourced, they were able to resolve issues on salaries and overtime payments. They were also able to receive or to release itemized pay slips in accordance to MOM guidelines. And also they don't need to worry about tax filing because there's a professional who's been doing that for them. And since they took out this administrative task on their plate, they were able to grow their business. And in fact, they have expanded their business to Malaysia in 2019. And from having 10 employees, they now have current staff strength of 50. And because they don't need to worry about managing their payroll and their other HR solutions, other HR processes, they were able to quickly add e-commerce and delivery service on their operations, even during this pandemic. Our government continuously to provide us with initiatives to help businesses grow through encouraging us to go digital. And you can see some of these initiatives at the SME portal. At the SME portal, you can see under Tech Depot a lot of IT solutions that your business needs or require. You can also see our 4 packages on the Tech Depot under HRSS. We are glad to say that we are on this package. We are partnered with with Just Login Solutions. And what does that package include? Let me give you a brief information on what are included on the packages. Our packages includes 5 modules bundled in one single platform. The modules includes payroll, claims, employee data, attendance, and leave. It also includes a one-time implementation and a payroll outsource service that you can have for 12 months. All of these are funded with 80% funding with the support of PSG. Please note that the 80% funding is a limited time offer until December 2020, and it will resume to 70% on January 2021. After looking for the solution that you've, or after checking out Tech Depot on the solutions that you would like to subscribe, you can now apply for the grant by going into the Business Grants portal. Once logging in, you will be redirected to these pages to submit your proposal, complete or fill up the questions or fill up the information, and you can submit all the required documents, and with just a few clicks away, you're done and you've completed filing for the grant. So that ends my presentation. Again, for Q&A session, we will be joined by my managing consultant, Valerie, and you can also send us, or you can also scan the QR code alternatively, and you can also send us an email at jobs@matchresources.com.sg. You may also give us a call and we'll give you a free consultation. Thank you again for joining us, and stay safe, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia. Next up, we have Manisa from Workforce Singapore. She'll be sharing about 3 programs, so the Work-Life Grant, the SG Method traineeships, as well as the Enhanced Training program. So can we have Manisa?
Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Manisa. I am a business advisor from the SME Center at SMCCI. Firstly, I would like to welcome all of you to join us in this webinar, and of course to the main organizer, Just Login, for inviting our center. Later, after this presentation, there might be questions that could be addressing to about workforce matters or about Enterprise Singapore grant. My colleague Sneha will be joining the Q&A session in case you have queries addressing both grants. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, sorry. All right. So in this short presentation, I will cover an overview about Work-Life Grant, SG United Traineeship Program, that's by Workforce Singapore, and last but not least is the Enhanced Trainee Support Package by SkillsFuture Singapore. Perhaps, I gather from the Q&A that I saw a lot of interest in these schemes and of course the Enterprise Singapore. Okay, so for first up, about this Work-Life Grant, it's all about implementing and sustaining flexible work arrangement. So even though tomorrow will be the phase 2 for Singapore, so the government still encourages companies who can still work from home or to adopt this Work-Life Grant. But there's some there's some changes on the Work-Life Grant, so later I will share more details. So the intention of this program to have more Singaporean, have more core people who have work arrangement for all workers. So what does this grant cover? So it covers up to 2 years of up to $105,000, and it has 2 components, which is the flexible work arrangement incentive up to $70,000 over 2 years, and the job sharing incentive up to $35,000 over 2 years. So you may apply each component or both. And just to note, this program is open to any registered companies legally in Singapore. So it can be applied to even non-profit organizations such as VWOs. And it's a free program. Basically, companies can apply. So let's look at the deliverables. So under this component, you may see a list of things that company need to show proof. Okay, such as the adoption of tripartite standard. This is basically an online platform where you pledge that your company is adopting this flexible work arrangement. So therefore, at the point of claim, your company logo must be in this website. So talking about regular usage of flexible work, so there must be some proof that this list of people are either adopting a work arrangement or job sharing. So moving on to evaluation report, this is talking about a template that the program manager that you approach will address to what are the appropriate report you can show proof, and of course who are the list of employees, and then show proof the contract and the CPM form 90. So I bring you to the bottom of the screen. So the eligibility for the staff that you can claim are basically for your employees who's either a Singaporean or PR, and they must have 12 months in the contract. So it's not for your casual or your temp staff. And for the job sharing incentive, they are looking at employee portfolio who's earning at least gross 3,006 before the job sharing arrangement and at least a 12 months contract. So you can see there's two different characteristics in the two components. So let's look at the illustration for a better understanding. So in a typical SME, perhaps it's less than 5 in the manpower, and all of these employees have chose willingly that they say I chose to do time banking, while the other employees say I chose part-time work, or it can be a job sharing also for under the flexible work arrangement. So so companies who are doing this flexible arrangement, they must ensure they track all these employees for a continuous of 6 months over the 1 year term, and of course the following second year. So there shouldn't be a break in between, and you can only claim at the end of the first year or at the end of the second year. So it's not an immediate claim. So this $2,000 is for your employee per year basically. And the other job sharing incentive, you can see that you can only get 3,500 per employee per year, and of course this must be a regular adoption as well. So just to take note, those in ACRA listed personnel, such as like your managers or directors, they are not considered and part of the employee. So there's like a term for that. And just to bring you to this screen about the examples of flexible work arrangement. So you may recognize some of these arrangements may work or may suit your company nature. For example, F&B or maybe retail, they have rotating shifts. So your employees must have willingly tell you which shift they prefer. Or okay, for example, another scenario, a part-time work. A full-time employee may say, I choose to do a part-time job or part-time work because of some family-related matters. And of course, employer can remunerate the salary accordingly. And perhaps you may look at compressing your work week from 5 days to become 4.5 days, as long as there's a difference of half day to show the difference. Time banking would be a situation where an employee say, I have a lot of time off on certain days, I want to claim the time off for those days. So as long as any of your employees adopt any of these, you have to track for 6 months continuously. So you may get a senior manager or a HR personnel to champion and the tracking purposes. Okay, so now we look at the job sharing. What is the difference compared to the flexible work arrangement? As I said earlier, these employees are earning a higher salary of gross 3,006 before the job sharing and at least a 1 year contract in the company. So there could be a formal arrangement that employee A has to redistribute the workload among other staff, perhaps because she's handling other projects. And the the other person that they choose to share the workload can be either an existing staff or it can be a new hire staff. But the amount of money that you can claim is only for employee A, it's not for employee X. Okay, so in terms of applying, companies can approach any of these program manager directly because companies by right need to apply themselves. But do take note that there's an overwhelming response and application for work-life grant. Do be patient and give them time to reply you. And of course, funding is also subject to allocated by all these program partners. All right. Okay, so I already covered the first half about the work-life grant. Now, after you have perhaps changed your working arrangement, you may wonder, how can I get access to a pool of fresh talent? So, you know, as I meet a lot of SMEs day to day, they always told me that I couldn't find millennials, I couldn't hire younger generation. So this program is suitable for you to consider because the government also want to help these youngsters or millennials or graduates to get a placement in employment after that. So typically the traineeship can only last up to 12 months. And as you can see on this table, this training allowance is the estimation paid for 50 to 70% of median starting salary. And the allowance is a reimbursement basis, meaning that you pay the allowance upfront and the organization or the government sector, which is led by Singapore Business Federation, will reimburse you monthly. So this is where how the program works. Okay, so we stop for a while. I just want to have a poll whether you know about this question. Will host company have to make CPF contribution for trainees? So this one could be at the back of your mind. Perhaps you can answer for me whether you have any idea about this. Can we have the answer or the poll question? Okay, so most of you answered yes. Okay, so okay, I'm here to tell you actually no, because in this traineeship, basically there's no employee relationship between you and the trainees. So basically, once the traineeship ended, that's where you enter a formal employment letter between you and the traineeship, whether are you going to employ the person. So henceforth, you can hire them with regular CPF after that. So basically, during traineeship, there's no requirement for you to contribute CPF. All right, thanks for participating, by the way. Okay, next. Okay, so let me share with you the deliverables for companies who would like to take part. So basically, any companies registered in Singapore can take part. So it can even be a non-profit organization, even foreign companies, as long as they are going to hire local staff after that. And traineeship must last up to 12 months. And basically, your company must have a clear training direction for the traineeship, and it shouldn't be the training plan shouldn't be something similar to a typical employee. So it has to be a trainee platform where you need to map out what are the things that you want them to learn. Then therefore, after the traineeship, that's where you will hire them. When hiring picks up and you think you got the funding, you can hire the person. And in terms of the individual, they must be a Singaporean PR. They have to be a graduate either last year or this year. And these can be from all the ITEs all the way to universities and even to educational other institutes of higher learning. Okay, let me tell you an illustration of, for example, a company who wants to take part in this SG United traineeship. First, they need to register as a host. So you can see on my bottom right, there is a QR code. It will bring you to an online form. So once you fill up your details and what are the job openings for different graduates, then Singapore Business Federation will get back to you and give you the application form and advise you like to give them the training map. So a typical, for example, back to this slide, for an engineering company who may have 6 job opening and they are going to hire from different graduates. So these 6 trainees, the company is paying about $10,700 monthly for the 6 trainees. So after government have co-fund 80%, company in the end pay only 2,000 plus for this traineeship program. Okay, so last but not least, I'm gonna talk about this skills upgrading which the government has enhanced. So I'm not sure whether you're aware or may not be aware. So this is time limited where companies can go for courses under Skills Connect to upskill their staff in terms of, because right now companies may not be having a lot of businesses yet, but the good thing, you can send your staff for courses to enrich them for better employment after this. So now from May 2020, all other sectors are open whereby that you can get absentee payroll. So absentee payroll is in regards to a company may get some funding at the absentee of the staff who was sent for training. So the sector that you see on the screen are very sector specific, because during the COVID and circuit breaker at that time, all these sectors were affected badly. So now after this, May onwards, any sector can apply courses under Skills Connect. So what they have enhanced is the course fee subsidy support at 90% compared to on the left, which is a different percentage, and the absentee payroll has increased up to 90%. So that means you get $10 per trainee per hour. But it's best you approach the courses or training provider to ensure do they have absentee payroll provided, because not all courses have that. So in terms of applying directly, you may approach any of these sector that you see on the screen, or even at Skills Connect portal, so that they can help you apply the different kind of training that you may require. So example, like retail sector, perhaps you want to improve on your customer service. So NTUC Learning Hub will be the training provider to facilitate the application for you. While if those companies that is not listed here, you have to apply on your own via Skills Connect using your Compass. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. So those companies who are interested in workforce program, is not just about Work-Life Grant or SG United. Anything hiring support, which I see just now, people say they want to know about career support, you may approach me. So this is my my contact. So with that, thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Manisa, for sharing. Next up, we have Eileen from the Singapore National Employers Federation, who will be sharing about the PMAX program. So can we have Eileen? So if you have any questions, please don't use the chat. Just feel free to use the Q&A box below. We will be answering the questions shortly after Eileen's presentation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eileen. I'm from the Singapore National Employers Federation, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us at this session today, and also thank Just Login for organizing this. Today I'll be speaking on one of the WSG grant on top of what Manisa has. So WSG actually has many other grants available, one of which would be what I will be sharing today, which is the PMAX Place and Train program. From the attendance list, I understand that there are several companies who have already tapped on this program before, but stay on, because we do have further updates, new developments to this program. So potentially your company could still tap on this program if you have already claimed this grant before. Yeah. Okay, so yes, so the PMAX Place and Train program is by Workforce Singapore. The intention of this program was to help new hires to be better acclimatized into the SME environment. And this program is meant for professional managerials, executive, or technicians. To come on board this program, your company must have 30%, must be registered in and incorporated in Singapore, have annual sales turnover at group level of not more than 100 million, or employment size at group level not exceeding 200 employees. By this, we are this actually means that if let's say your new hire, if let's say your company is a parent subsidiary company and you have several subsidiaries in this whole group, you have to add all the annual sales turnover together. And if it bursts 100 million, then you can look at the employment size and see if at group level, do you exceed 200? If yes, then you will not be considered an SME already. Okay, so it's an either or criteria for this second criteria. Okay, the next criteria is that company must have minimum 30% local shareholding. Local shareholding here, we actually mean who owns the company and not the number of employees in your company. Okay, just to clarify. Because it's a place and train program, companies also should have available PMET job vacancies offering a minimum gross salary of 2005 and must have hired somebody, a PMET, within the last 3 months. PMET here we refer to professional, managerial, executive, or technician. Okay, so for the PMET criteria, there are 2 tracks to this, one of which will be the normal PMAX track, which some companies have already tapped on this program before. The normal PMAX track is that the PMET must be a Singaporean or PR, must have possess qualification of diploma and above, or worked as a PMET before. So if let's say you have a new hire who does not have diploma qualification, but they have been working as a manager for a long time, they still can come on board this program, okay? And this program is not for fresh grads, so they must have graduated or completed national service for a period of 12 months in order to come on board this program. So after graduation or after ORD, 12 months before they can enter this program. The second part to this program is that, which is the new part, is that there's this PMET track, PMAX track for Singapore citizens age 50 and above. So if you have a Singapore citizen, new hire, age 50 and above, then you can qualify to go under this other track, which is meant for the Singapore citizens age 50 and above. The intention of the program is to help SME companies to better train, retain, recruit them, and eventually keep them on the job. Okay, to establish better communication channels between the PMET and their immediate supervisor, to help them better acclimatize into the SME workplace. So for example, sometimes you may have new hires who were from, say, a government step board background or MNC background. Coming into a SME is very much different in terms of job scope and also the environment. So what we want to do is to help them to acclimatize into the SME workplace. And of course, to establish a culture of workplace inclusiveness, you know, with the implementation of age management practice, if let's say you have that new hire age 50 and above. So there are 4 parts to this program. The first part would be job matching. Okay, so for this part of job matching, right, because we do have companies who express their interest in hiring with us, a small number, but we also do have job seekers sending their resumes to us. So we will try our best to see if there's a possible job match between the two. Okay, but of course, comparing this to, say, the employment agency, we wouldn't be, because we are not doing this like full time, okay? So it wouldn't be so So like maybe you send in the job advertisement to us today, and then tomorrow we may have a position or a candidate for you, because the number of candidates that we have could potentially be very much lesser than what the employment agency has. Okay, but of course, to come on board this program, the company need not go through this job matching. Okay, so you can hire your own staff through maybe newspaper articles or JobStreet or whichever kind of job portal, and then still come on board this program. Okay, after you have hired this person, of course you need to sign up for this program. You need to send your new hire for a 2-day workshop. The new hire goes for 2 days, and his or her immediate supervisor or the SME representative, could be the HR, have to attend a 1-day SME workshop. This is for the normal PMAX track. Okay, there is a difference to the different 2 tracks, because one of which will eventually help the company to take 10,000, and another one is a 5,000. So the normal PMAX track, eventually the company will receive a $5,000 incentive upon completion of the program. So whatever you see in blue, it will be the normal PMAX track. If you have a PMET, Singapore citizen age 50 and above, the supervisor will have to attend another additional day of an age management workshop on top of that 1-day SME workshop. Okay? After the workshop, you have to keep the new hire in the company for 6 months. The 6 months, we will only count when both supervisor and new hire completes all the training. Okay, so the earlier you send your staff for training, the earlier we will start this 6 months. And during the 6 months, supervisor and the new hire have to meet up with our consultant 2 times. Okay, because this post-training follow-up is to help the company to implement what they have learned from the workshops. So it wouldn't be anything very difficult. The meeting of the consultants is actually to help them with this HR toolkit which they have learned during the workshop. And eventually you have to submit this to WSG to claim the $5,000 or the $10,000. Okay. And so the first consultation will be on the first month of the 6 month period, and the second consultation will be on the 6th month, the last month. If you are going for the Singapore citizen age 50 track, the company would also have to complete the age management toolkit, have to implement age-friendly practices, and also submit a policy statement of age-friendly recruitment procedure. But the companies don't have to worry about this, because this will be taught throughout the workshops on how to do this and how to complete this. Okay. Upon completion of the program, company will receive a one-time $5,000 incentive from WSG. This is for the normal track, so they will receive the $5,000. Companies who have already received this $5,000 before, then if you have a new hire, Singapore citizen age 50 and above, you can tap on this program again and claim the additional 5,000. So one UEN company can receive a total of 10,000. If you have already claimed the first 5,000 and you have a Singapore citizen age 50 and above, you can claim the second 5,000. Okay. If your company have never participated in this program before, and this is the first time you are participating, never tap on the Max Talent program, which was previously the similar program to PMAX. And now you have this Singapore citizen age 50 and above. You can get a total of $10,000 straight. Okay. So a lot of people will be asking, how many times can I claim on this grant? It's only 1 time per UEN, okay? Not per year, so it's like for the lifetime, okay? So the program concept is that for the normal track, companies will need to have their new hire, send the new hire for a 2-day workshop, supervisor goes for 1 day, keep them in the company for 6 months, go through the 2 consultation visits within the 6 months, and then they will receive the $5,000 upon completion. If you have that Singapore citizen age 50 and above, you can go for the PMAX track, the other PMAX track for Singapore citizens age 50 and above. which the supervisor will have to attend an additional day of age management workshop, okay? Also, the same process of keeping them in the company for 6 months after the workshop, at the same time implementing age-friendly age management practices, and then the company will receive another 5,000, so it will be a total of 10,000. Okay, so just to ensure that everybody is on the right page, we'll do a short poll. If your so if let's say your company is the first time applying for this program, how much can you claim upon completion of the program if you have a new hire age 50 and above? Yeah, let's like wait for some people to answer. Can we see the results? Yes, okay, so for people who answered 5,000, the answer is wrong, okay? The company can receive a total of 10,000. If it's the first time that your company is applying, okay, and you have a new hire who is Singapore citizen age 50 and above, you can get one shot $10,000 upon completion of the program, okay? So these are some of the administrative details, which is for the course fees. Okay, for the 2-day PMET workshop, company will have to pay $160.50 for the new hire. This is after 90% course fee funding. And for the 1 day will be $53.50. If you have that Singapore citizen age 50 and above, the supervisor must go for another day of age management workshop. It will be $37.45. Okay, so upon completion, the normal track will receive 5,000 and the track for Singapore citizens age 50 and above will receive additional 5,000. Okay, so a total of 10,000. Okay, so I hope this is clear. And I also want to let companies know that if let's say your company is a social enterprise, okay, so social enterprise are also eligible to apply if your company have less than 200 employees. Okay, or the fundings that you receive or the government support that you receive, like those kind of donations that you receive, is less than 100 million. Okay, and if you have a new hire within the past 3 months and you are eligible to tap on this program, please fill out the feedback form and contact us. You can contact us via our hotline or our email to let us know that you have this new hire, and we'll send the application form to you immediately. Okay, thing is, you have to tap on this program before your new hire reaches the 3rd month mark in the company. Otherwise, your new hire will no longer be considered a new hire and you can no longer tap on this program. So this is very time sensitive. Yeah, so I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eileen. Okay, before we go into the Q&A section, I would just like to mention our next webinar of our webinar Business Continuity webinar series. So next week we'll be having part 11 of our webinar, Workplace Safe Management Measures Briefing. So I think this is exceptionally relevant as we are moving into phase 2 tomorrow. So feel free to join us. We'll be sending out an invite over the next few days. And yeah, we will also be sharing about our new Safe Clock solution, which is like a contactless temperature scanner that helps you manage also door access and employee attendance. So join us next week if you are interested in this. If you've missed any of our past webinars, feel free to go to our business continuity page. All our webinar recordings, including this one, will be stored there. So feel free to go back and review any of the content anytime. So now we have reached the Q&A session. So can I have the rest of the panelists? Maybe you can turn on the videos to answer the questions, and we can tackle, we have 100 questions right now. Okay, we'll try to answer as many of this as we can. Okay, I think some of you have voted, so we'll go top down. There'll be some. Okay, the first question, whether laptops, printers are provided to employees when they work from home, will it be considered as an IT solution for PSG? Maybe Sneha, are you there? Would you be able to answer this question? Hello, Sneha, are you there? Okay, never mind. We'll probably move this question for later.
Hi, Eating.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was just facing some issues with my mic. Yeah, I hope I can be heard.
Yes, now you're good. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I believe that the inquiry was about the laptop bundle.
Yes, so there are people asking, so when employees are working from home, the laptops, the printers, all these expenses, is there any grant that you can use to cover that? And I think they're looking at probably PSG grant as a possibility.
So under the Productivity Solutions grant, there is a laptop bundle that is in collaboration with the telco providers. So I will be posting both our generic email ID as well as Manisa's email ID for Workforce Singapore queries. So if you would like to know more about the laptop bundle and what it offers, you can just drop us drop us a line to our generic email. Our business advisor should be in touch with you, and we also help you facilitate the process end to end. So we journey you from the point that you want to apply for the grant all the way to the application outcome and to the point of claims.
Okay, thank you. So there is a bundle that you can look at. Like I've mentioned earlier, if you want to be contacted by any of the speakers, you can just indicate your interest in the feedback form later and they will be able to contact you on that. Okay, so next question. I think there's quite a few questions about whether companies who are charities or social enterprises, can they qualify for the grants?
Yeah, so maybe I can address this query. As long for charities and social enterprises, there are two kinds of registrations. They can be registered under Registry of Societies, or they can have normal UENs like any other normal entity has. So depending on there are further criteria to qualify for individual grants. So again, if you could reach out to us via our inquiry points, then we'd be in a better situation to assess whether and which specific grants you would qualify for.
Okay, I think there's also a question for Manisa about the work-life grant. A number of people were asking about when is the grant scheme going to last until? Perhaps you want to answer that? Manisa, you're on mute.
Okay, yes, I noticed there's a lot of queries about work-life grant. So the funding, normally the government will fund by batches. So usually when this amount of money has been utilized, so companies sometimes may be put on a waiting list until the government release some more funding. So there's no specific time that they say by this date and this date it's utilized. So it's subject to availability on which company has applied. It's like applied first, and submit the form will be a process basically. So doesn't mean you apply the program that you get approval, because there are things that you need to comply besides getting the funding. But for now, the budget is still there. It's just that it is easily utilized because of a lot of companies have applied. Just that it's best they go to each respective program managers and check do they still have funding before they proceed, just to be safer.
Okay, there's another question about work-life grant. I think the person is interested about time banking. So is there a minimum number of hours clocked under the time banking per employee per month to qualify?
For time banking, it's basically about there's actually a continuous of six months. So as long like it's not from their normal work arrangement, that's maybe one of the work days that they are doing more extra hours. So at least they must have cleared at least 1 hour per week. That will be sufficient, or in that case can be even 1 hour time off taken per month, and this has to be done over a continuous of 6 months. So it doesn't have to say you must have how many hours that you want to quickly take up the number of time off.
Okay, quickly another question about work-life grant. If the SME is less than 1 year old, so the employees are working less than 12 months, are they eligible?
They must at least be 12 months in the employment contract. So cannot be short-term or casual staff.
Okay. Okay, maybe this one for Sneha.
Yes.
There's a number of companies, I think they're not SMEs, so sorry, I mean they're not, like, they don't have a 30% local shareholding. So are there any assistance schemes for such kind of organizations?
The assistance schemes for non-SMEs, that means SMEs that do not have 30% local shareholding, are very limited. So the objective will be, the focus and objective will be more for local companies for funding programs. So in case, there are other criteria that, the company has 30% local shareholding, but because of turnover or because of, employment size reasons, they do not qualify under the SME category. We can assess those on a case-by-case basis. But I believe, Manisa, if I correct me, I believe there are some programs under Workforce Singapore that non-SMEs can also qualify for.
Yeah, that's right. All workforce program, basically companies can apply because they don't look at whether you are a startup and when you have a certain turnover compared to ESG grant. So as long as you have a genuine intention to hire staff, for locals especially, companies can apply the grants if they are eligible according to the salary offered or the profile of the worker. But except for PMAX, only that program requires 30% local shareholding.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think this one is Neha again. For EDG, this one is important. Saying we noticed that there's a new requirement for E2I endorsement letter. Do you know about this?
I just had an applicant's EDG that was approved 2 days ago. Last week. There was no requirement for an E2I endorsement letter. But should this come up, I think SME Center will be able to find out more about it and assist the client. Could be dependent on other factors as well. So we'll have to look at it on a case-to-case basis.
Okay. Then I think mostly it's from Manisa and Sneha. So for Manisa, regarding the flexible work arrangement, does providing work from home or flexible working hours to employees be considered under the grant?
They have revised the scheme, so staggered hours and working from home is no longer available, except there are other 4 that I shared, which is either can be part-time work arrangement, time banking, which means that you have some time off that you want to claim for working more hours for a certain weekday, and then it can be shift work, and then one more it could be the job sharing also, but for a different, or it can be a compressed work week. So only these 4 for now, 4 types.
Okay, and I think there's a question that should be about the traineeship program. They say, what if the person graduated in the year 2019 and 20, but he also takes employment during his last year of his graduation and continues after that. So is he still eligible for the program?
He has to register as an individual with the SG traineeship, because there is a process for him to be accepted, and then he will be in this program. But in this program, he can't be employed by any company because there shouldn't be any employment contract between the job seeker or the trainees and the company during this traineeship.
Okay, then what happens if you don't want to or you cannot hire the trainee after the traineeship period?
So basically, if that happens, they just have to update Singapore Business Federation on a valid reason why they're not going to continue for whatever reason, and then SBF will be notified, and then the traineeship will end accordingly to that period. You don't have to stretch all the way to 12 months if they are not suitable. So you may hire other trainees in the process.
Okay. Okay, someone also asked, I think I'll just compile the questions about the SG United traineeship. There's a number of them. Do we still require to undergo the process of interviewing and selecting the candidates, or we just work with the SBF on this?
It's best you interview the candidates to know what kind of profile you are going to place them, and then you inform SBF that you agree to get this person on board to be trained.
Okay. So, okay, I think there's someone that asked, is there any penalty if you go under the program but you don't hire anyone under the traineeship program?
Okay, so that means at the end of the traineeship, you are not going to hire them at all. No, there's no penalty, because it's just that between this training roadmap, you are also assessing their suitability to be employed once the traineeship ended. So at least you know you have trained this person, and it's like a 50-50 chance are you going to hire them as part of your manpower.
Okay, thank you. I think some PMAX related questions. Eileen, so for the PMAX, how will the workshops be conducted during this period? Will they be conducted online?
Yes, the PMAX workshops are now conducted online. We are also gathering interest from companies who are still interested to do face-to-face trainings, and if we do have a number of them interested to do face-to-face, we will conduct a session face-to-face for them as well. So, but during the COVID, the circuit breaker period, it has always been online. Even the consultations were held via Zoom as well.
Okay, and are they able to apply the both work life and PMET and the PMAX under the same employee, on the same employee at the same time?
Yes, correct. PMAX and work-life grant does not have a clash in funding principle, so yes, they can claim together.
Okay. Let me see if there's any PMAX.
I've answered quite a number of PMAX questions.
In the I see, no wonder. Okay. I think back to Manisa. So for the enhanced training program, can directors go for the training under this scheme?
Yes, they can. But they can't clear absentee payroll because they're not a staff per se, but they can get training grant for themselves.
Okay. Then for the SG United traineeship program, is it specific for any industry?
They welcome any industry because they recognize some companies may want to get to tap on those younger or maybe more different perspective to help in the company work processes, because they might face challenges to hire only the 30s and 40s, but they also want to hire those from the graduates to give a different perspective in terms of the work, basically. So it's for any industry.
Okay, and how does the payment works out? So do you need to pay the employee, the trainee in full and get the reimbursement back later?
Yes, so every month the company need to pay monthly during the traineeship program. Then correspondingly, SBF will do the reimbursement to the company.
Okay. Sure. So, okay, this question about penalty, just now Manisa answered that there's no penalty if you didn't manage to hire. And there's a question about if you are a freelancer and self-employed with no CPF contribution, what types of grants we can apply. I think for this session, we are covering mostly grants for enterprises, so probably we will not have an answer for that. Okay, for work-life grant, do you know what is the average time of approval? Also, you mentioned earlier that probably need to take a while for the current work-life grant application.
Correct.
Okay. So I think a lot of the remaining questions are very specific, quite specific. Maybe any of the panelists, if you look through the question, is there any particular questions that you would want to take up and you think that would be relevant to more people?
Yes, Eating, I wanted to bring up one question that I noticed, whether companies can, there are some concerns on the process of application, payment, and subsequent claims. So I thought that specific to ESG grants, it could just clarify that companies have to make the application using a quotation from the solution provider or the selected vendor. And once they obtain the approval, or once they, dependent on case to case, once the application is filed or once the the application outcome is obtained, then they can further proceed to implement and make the claim. So very strictly, ESG does not fund retrospective claims. That means claims payment that has been made before either an application date or an application outcome subject to the grant. I hope that clarifies because there were a number of queries on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sneha. So for Melissa, is there any questions that you want to take regarding the three programs that you've highlighted?
I noticed the questions, some is very specific to the company, so it might be that I need to take offline with some of the program for the company. But of course, I already shared my contact details where they can approach me to advise further. But some of the questions are more like, I would say, some might be repeated, but I'm not sure. Maybe I can address all of them separately because of the time given, where it's time quite limited for me to reply all. Okay, maybe I just pick a few from this page. Okay, there's a question asking, is a new startup eligible for these schemes? Are you referring to workforce or enterprise? For workforce, basically can, because you have registered your company. And enterprise grant, of course, it differs because there's some other criteria that you have to meet the requirement, which you can check with my colleague Sneha.
Hi, to extend on to Manisa's point, there are certain support that are available for startups and differing companies at various stages of the business life cycle. I have posted both our inquiry point email as well as Manisa's personal email ID on the chat board. So if anybody has further queries, we've already started seeing an influx of queries. We'll be happy to answer more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manisa and Sneha. How about for Eileen or Cecilia, is there any particular questions that you want to take before we wrap up this session?
Okay, I just addressed two questions. Companies who already have their new hires past the 3rd month mark will not be able to apply for this program. So new startups still can apply for this program if you have an eligible new hire. One more question that somebody asked was that you want to claim back the PMAX workshop cost. Okay, so for the workshops, right, we will only charge the 10% of which is already 90% funded. So we will not charge you the full course fee. We will only charge you the 10%. Yeah, so you don't have to do any sort of claim behind at all. Yeah, just to clarify.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. And Cecilia, is there any last things that you want to mention or clarify?
I guess none for now. I think Valerie already provided the answers to some of their questions. And again, just send us an email at jobs@matchresources.com.sg for further questions. Thank you.
Well, sorry. Hi,
Oh,
thanks,
okay,
Cecilia. I just want to pick up one question I spotted, and someone was asking about if the package includes implementation and consultancy services involved. So maybe I'm just going to reiterate what Cecilia has presented earlier on. So from the 4 packages, so it actually covers 5 modules bundled in one single platform for the subscription fee of 12 months, inclusive one-time implementation, and of course, our payroll outsourcing services for 12 months. Okay, so that's yeah, one question that I would like to answer.
Thank you, Valerie. So I think we've run out of time. We know there's still quite a lot of open questions, a lot of them very specific to your company. So like I've mentioned, please help us fill out our feedback form, and on the form, please just identify if you want to be contacted individually by any of the presenters so that they can arrange a more direct one-to-one support for your business. And at this stage, I just want to thank all the presenters today, Cecilia, Eileen, Manisa, Sneha, Valerie. Thank you so much for joining us in today's session, and I hope that it was also a very fruitful session to all the attendees here. And I'll see you at our next webinar. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.